This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
We continue all the way to episode 505 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Do you think Tony Stark would be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire? No shade. That's just the way the world works. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a Rick with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany Bingo.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Happy Monday.
Hey, everybody.
Yes. Monday.
Mm-hmm. There's a very strong case of the Mondays out here. So let's try to perk it up a bit, shall we?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we do have a little bit of news again, kind of on the more quiet side because fandom Christmas is this weekend. So kind of we'll have quite a bit coming out of that. So
yeah.
But until then, we have got our trailer for the final season of Stranger Things.
Yep.
So
and puberty hit those kids hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hitting them anyway.
It was.
Yeah.
And then I see Lucas and I'm like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're getting a time jump, but still.
Right. Yeah, they kind of had to.
Hawkins and
like,
the Down Under have not been doing them any favors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, okay, it's probably a good thing that this is your last season because none of you are little kids anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know on Facebook,
like, you're all adults now.
Yeah. I know some sites have been posting like episode times. And I think even one of the Netflix creators said, don't trust those, that they aren't accurate. So I don't know.
As far as like length?
As a length. So I don't know if that's just him saying and they're dead on.
The CYA.
Or CYA.
Or, most of that could be, the dubbing credits.
True.
You know how
right.
long those can run on
right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're going to decide to add more stuff. Who knows? I don't know. So just take with a grain of salt. Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, I'm sure we're all going to be like, I want more. You know,
it is possible.
Yeah.
This is not enough.
Exactly.
Even if we do get like a nice ending, we're like, oh yes, that's a good place to end. We're probably gonna still be like, I want more. So, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be intense, for lack of a better better word. And it's beyond our group of kids and adults. That this is Hawkins as a whole is gonna have to face impending doom. It looks like. So see, this is what happens when you live in the Midwest. We don't get hurricanes. We don't really get earthquakes.
We get the heat, we get the cold, we get the snow, and then we get the demon invasion. Whoever opened the portal.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
This morning, because it was very windy, and Alex was saying, Mom, there's a tornado coming. I'm like, we don't get tornadoes. That's for places where it's flat. Like Kansas.
Mhm.
I had to explain that to him. I don't know if he got it, but I did my best.
Yeah. Like, you can have a lot of wind without it being a tornado.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
but you're a little hilly. If a tornado tried to, like, come barreling down, it would come across a mountain and be like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this?"
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I can't dig my way through.
Yeah.
No.
I think that was like one. There was one year when I was 14 where we had a major tornado rip through downtown Salt Lake, and it made news because it was through downtown Salt Lake. But it was probably a baby compared to what happens in Tornado Alley.
Yeah, you probably get the occasional water spout on Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Salt Lake is actually pretty shallow, all things considered. But we do get some lake effect. We get blizzards. That's what we get.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why your state is so popular for skiing.
Don't remind me. Skiers and cyclists, they are a plague upon everything.
Yeah.
Right when the weather gets cold enough for the bicyclists to go away, then there's all the skiers and snowboarders, and I'm like, well, at least you guys are going up the mountain, and I'm gonna stay down here.
At least till you guys host the Olympics again. So.
Well, that's true. Hopefully, it goes as well as it did last time, because last time was fun.
Yeah.
We shall see. Anyway.
Yep.
How did we
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. So wait, you guys don't have tornadoes then?
We have tornadoes.
That's where I was going with that. I was like, tornadoes. Yeah. It took me like 10 steps to get there, but I got there.
Yeah, we get tornadoes, but we can blame the tornadoes on hellfire being released from the Upside Down. So
exactly,
and all his minions, all his hell spawn.
Yep.
I'm planning on starting my rewatch pretty soon, so that way I'm caught up in time.
Yeah,
for break.
Yeah, we'll have to see at what point we need. Because right now, Chauncey's got his marching orders for at the bare minimum that he should watch before we go to Disneyland. So as far as Marvel is concerned, otherwise he's going to be slightly confused about certain characters that are there.
Ooh.
So
yeah, he's got that homework to boot. Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's like, this is the bare minimum that you need to watch before we go.
So how many movies and TV shows?
I think I gave him 1, 2, 3 movies, 3 TV shows.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, as far as fandom homework goes.
Yeah. And 2 non-Marvel movies.
He'll manage.
Yep. So he's got a couple of months to get through that. He even asked me, and he's like, well, what should I watch? And he was looking in, because he couldn't remember what he had seen.
Uh-oh.
He had to look at the movies and the descriptions and stuff, and be like, oh yeah, I've seen that.
You're like, you read the description, you're like, I don't remember this ever happening.
Yeah, he ends up like Gandalf, like, I have no memory of this place. So based off of that, I gave him his marching orders. Did he start it though when I gave him his marching orders? No. What was he watching instead? Antiques Roadshow.
All right then.
Yep.
Well, you want him to be paying attention, so he's probably watching. Like how well was he paying attention to Antiques Roadshow?
Enough that he was yelling at me about stuff that people were bringing on the show.
I was gonna say, I was like, well, maybe that's just background noise. Okay, well, if he's yelling at
he was partially paying attention enough to be like, hey, look at this thing somebody brought. So
you're like, don't you remember that list that I gave you?
Yeah. And how many months ago did you give him these marching orders?
like yesterday. So.
Oh, okay. Yesterday. Okay. So, all right.
All right.
Okay.
He's
so we
got
can't give him too
time.
much. Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure.
But the
Time gets away
ADD.
from you.
I gave him
Yeah.
his marching orders as soon as possible because I know the ADD is going to be a difficult thing to
True.
to fight against.
Mhm.
So I totally understand that as someone who's a little ADD myself.
Mhm.
It can easily get distracted. I totally understand that. So
It is a hell of a thing.
it is.
Mhm.
Would not recommend. Not that I had any choice in the matter, but yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. End up like Doug. Squirrel,
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we run this podcast. I mean, good grief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
You know how many
That is-
squirrels we go after?
That is
True.
very
Very
true.
true.
Yep.
Our
yep,
tangents
very
are squirrels.
Yes.
It's in the tagline.
Yep.
Mhm.
That is very true. It's like I most of the time I'm a combination of Doug and Dory.
Mhm.
I get distracted and then I forget what I had gotten distracted from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is why we have things like show notes, so I can look at it and be like,
Yes.
"Oh yeah,
Where were
So-
we again? Oh, right, that thing.
yeah, Stranger
Yeah.
Things."
Stranger
Moving on
Things.
from Stranger Things. Moving on from Stranger Things, at least for right now. So, as wild as it is, award season. We're looking at
Yeah.
award season
Dang.
starting up again because we have Emmy nominations.
I know. I
So,
saw that and I was like, "What month is it again?"
Yeah.
Doesn't seem right, but
Right?
apparently it is.
Yep, it is. So, yeah. I mean, Emmys is print television, but
Right.
it is all it is kind of the kickoff for award season as well. So, I don't watch most of what has been nominated, but I recognize a lot of it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm
um,
like, I haven't watched regular TV in forever, but I recognize people talking about some of these.
yeah. They did make some rule changes for anyone that's curious. They in the guest acting category, they have decided that people who have previously been nominated or won in a lead or supporting category for a role could no longer win the guest award for the same role. It's the Queen Elizabeth rule because of Claire Foy in The Crown.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
she
Gotcha.
won lead actress in a drama, and then she came back as a guest in flashbacks, and then she won and had a nomination as a guest. So
Gotcha.
Ah.
Same character, same show. Can't double dip.
right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
If you win for a role, it can only be in one category.
Mhm.
We killed off this character several seasons ago, but then they come back in a flashback or something. So
Mm-hmm.
gotcha.
Or in this case, flashbacks. So, so yeah. So that's kind of the big thing. So, but as far as nominees, like I said, the names are familiar, show names are familiar. I just don't watch any of these for the most part. So, a few interesting things though. Kathy Bates got nominated for Matlock, and that makes her the oldest actress nominee to date. So it has I forget who it was that she beat, but it's been a hot minute since someone someone has had that title.
Mhm.
So Of course, drama series. Andor is in there though, so that's good.
Yeah, I saw that Andor got a lot of noms, so that's fun.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Our lovely murderinos.
Yes.
Over at Arcadia, though, Martin Short did get nominated for actor comedy series for Only Murders in the Building. So that's good. Only Murders also got nominated for comedy series. So that's pretty awesome. And then another interesting nomination is Harrison Ford has gotten his first Emmy nomination for the comedy series Shrinking, because he doesn't do a lot of television.
No, he really doesn't.
He's pretty much a movie star. So, but yeah, he is. Yeah, so that gives Harrison Ford his very first Emmy nomination. So that's pretty cool. So yeah. But yeah, I mean it's Severance, it's White Lotus, it's The Bear, it's Black Mirror, a lot of the ones that we've been seeing as far as the Emmys are concerned, for the most part. So yeah,
that stuff, and it's fine. I mean, I'm actually mildly interested in watching Severance. I'm just not wanting to spring for an Apple TV Plus account.
Yeah,
which that's me, and maybe I'm sure it's going to be on Blu-ray at some point, and I'll just get it from the library, like I did.
Yeah,
because they've done that with they did that with Ted Lasso, so something tells me that they should.
I watched Ted Lasso.
Yep. Of course, now they're gonna have to re-release that now that we're having a 4th season of Ted Lasso.
Exactly, because
that's currently in production.
They started filming. Yes.
Woo-hoo. Yep. So.
Oh, I can't wait to see how that season's gonna play out, because I miss those characters.
They are so fun. When I finally watched it, I'm like, this is a great show.
Yep.
It's still on my to-watch list. It's high up there.
Yep. So that's exciting, though.
Yes.
I just want to message the Vortex guys. I'm like, hey, what do you guys drive over to Kansas City and see what you can see?
Take some pictures, please.
Yeah.
We are frogs on the street.
Yes, please.
Just know what you see. So there's that. Speaking of statues, Gold Standard. We got new episode in the main feed for you. We had a new guest. Her name's Nika come on. And she brought with her bring your own movie in this case, and she brought the film Interstate 60, which is a little bit of I don't want to say necessarily sleeper, because it's not necessarily the best movie, but it's definitely interesting. It has an interesting premise. It has a very good cast. So it was like you had an idea and you tried. So
it's a gold star for you.
Yeah. But hey, it's everybody's got to start somewhere. With that sort of thing. So there is that. And then this month's Patreon is also now available in the Gold Standard Patreon feed. And we did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Ooh.
With Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, very much playing against type. So there is that for the most part. So fandom is better when we share it together. Support the Fiveish Fangirls on Patreon to help keep us celebrating the things we love, one episode and one tangent at a time. Join us at patreon.com/FivishFangirls. Moving on to the feedback. Of course, we got some feedback from Shalane. She says some news that we may have missed. So speaking of Dr. Seuss, Ariana Grande and Josh Gad will star in an animated adaptation of Oh, the Places You'll Go. The movie is going to be directed by John M. Chu, who also directed Wicked. Apparently he's got a lot of irons in the fire because he's also supposed to be working on the film adaptation of Britney Spears' autobiography and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So.
Huh.
And now Josh Gad can be like, I have worked with the OG stage Elphaba and the film Glinda. So and then Shalane shares some of the things that she has been reading, including some of the Disney Twisted Tales books for Robin Hood, The Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, Cher's memoir, and the Bridgerton book series. And then some of the shows that she's been watching, movies and shows she's been watching, stuff that's got anniversaries this year, new stuff, in the movie theater. She goes to the movies way more than I do. So let's see. She's also getting excited for Wednesday season 2 and other podcasts she's been listening to. When I mentioned maybe Alex Breakdown, Better Than Citizen Kane. Apparently they also cover some of the same films that we have covered on Gold Standard. Hype Friend, which is hosted by Ashley Eckstein, and Slay, a Buffy podcast, which is hosted by some of her friends from college.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yep. And then she says that she read that the reason they're adding some new stuff to Wicked is to help the audience better understand the characters, which, yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, the book it's based on is very, as we've discussed, it's dense. So
Yeah.
there is a lot there, and there's a lot that is glossed over in the
There's a lot of
musical.
history. There's a lot of history there that does not get brought up.
Yeah. There's just a lot that's skipped over in the stage version. And, yes, with the film version, they do have the blessing of time. Because audiences have shown that they are more than willing to sit for more than 3 hours in one go, if for the right movie. So yeah, I totally get that. That's their logic behind that, because it does make sense, because there is a lot in the book that is left out. So you kind of have to, and you also kind of have to be, you kind of have to be familiar with the actual Wizard of Oz, like the Judy Garland movie, and also that book. But again, it's its own version of it. So, yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I say bring it on. Uh is it time for Wicked Part 2 yet? No.
Getting there.
We're getting there. And let's see. Oh, and then she's also been watching Marvel movies, getting ready for Doomsday. Awesome. Thank you, Shalane. As usual, for the feedback. Looking for a great sci-fi read? Support indie authors like J.M. Anjewardin, whose books bring action, adventure, and rich storytelling to life. Check them out now on Amazon. And speaking of the MCU, as we're looking at the Fantastic Four coming to us this coming weekend. First, we need to catch up with the newest entry as far as series on Disney Plus, and that is Ironheart, which was comparatively short to others. It was only 6 episodes. But they crammed quite a bit in there.
And I think the pacing was really good, in my opinion.
Yeah. I did not have any issues as far as the pacing. I mean, they crammed quite a bit in there, including some big some big things.
Oh yeah,
that are going to have ripple effects
big time.
throughout the MCU for the foreseeable future.
And there was a couple things that I did not have on my bingo card for the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, one of those I know people have been clamoring for quite a while.
Yeah,
definitely as far as villains is concerned, they were on the short list for a lot of people.
Yep, kind of like our Doctor Who Ronnie theory.
Yes, yeah, it was very much. We'd had Thanos. We're getting Galactus in Fantastic Four. There's only we're getting obviously Doctor Doom. So when it comes
there's
to
only
big
so many more we can check off the list.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of baddies in the comics, and they're similar characters. That they're kind of these dark entities that are extremely powerful, that entities you do not want to come across, like in a dark alleyway,
right,
by any means. But at the same time, it's like the as far as power is concerned, and what they are capable of is they definitely were like, go big or go home. So yeah. So yeah, obviously this is following Riri Williams after the events of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This takes place a year, 6 months to a year-ish after that. I think Marvel is figuring out that you don't necessarily want to be too hard when it comes to timeline. You got to leave a little bit of wiggle room. So what's interesting is this was actually filmed ages ago.
Wow.
And it's been sitting on the shelf, essentially waiting to be released. So I'm sure at some point they probably had to do some pickups. I mean, this was filmed after Wakanda Forever, but even that was a couple years ago. So, but just because of all the kerfuffle that has happened with the MCU, with Kang and among other things, going on the back burner that's, down the street and around the corner.
The
And
retcon action.
right, and other stuff, getting put on other back burners. I'm looking at you, Blade. So
Which, fingers crossed, I hope that comes to fruition.
Yeah. And I still think with this, I think the opening is still there, because we are dealing with this is a good primer for Doomsday, because Victor Von Doom's thing is he loves combining technology. He is a technological genius, very much like Tony Stark. So, in a way, it kind of makes sense that RDJ is playing him as well. But Doom's thing is taking that technology and beefing it up with magic, and using magic to essentially, put all of his tech on steroids. So, and we get this is in this is we get magic and technology by the time we get to the final episode. Because Riri has she's proven herself to be an absolute genius in her own right. Otherwise she would not have gotten into MIT at a young age like she did. But she is absolutely right that Tony Stark had a leg up because he was rich.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yes, he was a genius in his own right. There's no doubt about that either. But he came from money. So
it didn't hurt matters any that his last name was Stark and Daddy just happened to have a research and design company.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
Stark is that you see a lot of these like kids of your giants of industry who go on to do great things, and then you have their kids who basically just run it into the ground, either their kids or grandkids. Like, I mean, you see this in sports, like with the ownership in teams and stuff, but then also companies, and they just make these really terrible decisions all because, like, oh, I left this to my, because the, grandpa passed away, so now it's all the kids and they all just get to squander it. Well, Tony, to his credit, didn't really run it into the ground. He kept the company going. So I mean, he could have just taken the money and been like, "Yeah, no, that's because I'm gonna blow this on R-rated things." I was gonna say, like, keep this.
That kind of stuff that Robert did in real life.
Yes, exactly. RDJ pre redemption. Arc.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's kind of like, yeah, he came for money. He also didn't run through it like
he was also not in charge though, because Obadiah Stane was running everything,
right?
And Tony was the face of it,
right?
Until the events in the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Now, question: we get a review of a certain character having a familial relation to Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, spoiler alert from here on out for everything.
Now, was this comic book canon, or is this our MCU canon? I'm not that big of a comic.
From what I've been able to hear from comic book people from way back when. Yes,
Ezekiel does exist in the comics.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of not a correct version of him, as I understand.
Okay.
Usually, when the characters from the comics are brought into the MCU, they adjust them anyway.
Right.
But yeah, Ezekiel Stane
Yeah.
shocker there.
Which
Obadiah had a
he
son.
is the example of
Uh,
your next generation just basically being a piece of crap.
Yeah, in the comics, yeah, Ezekiel is very much like his father.
Right.
But and obviously they changed that for this. So he doesn't go completely like his father, but he and by the end he and Riri are like frenemies,
Right.
for lack of a better term. But yes, because originally actually there was an alternate ending to the first Iron Man where Stain survived,
Oh
with the
wow.
idea that Jeff Bridges would come back later. So but they squashed that because they were like, because they didn't know exactly, they didn't know if the MCU was going to be a thing yet. Obviously that's what they were hoping for with the Nick Fury post credit thing. But they didn't necessarily, they were just like, we'll just kill off Stain and call it a day and not have to worry about it. And the thing is, it's like even with Stain being dead, his legacy has continued, because I mean it's that poor Stark lab worker getting yelled at by Stain is the reason that we got Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home, because so the whole Obadiah Stane being in charge of Stark Industries up until Tony has his revelation in the first Iron Man is still having ripple effects throughout the MCU, and this is not any different. And Ezekiel has shown himself to be very smart in his own right. It's just instead of technology like we would think, very much like Tony and Riri and a lot of other, his is biotech. It is hacking into the human body for finding ways to advance human capabilities, and that could be a blessing or a curse down the line. It kind of depends on where he ends up and what he decides to do.
Yeah. Just don't team up with Justin Hammer, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as we know, Justin Hammer is still in jail, so
right. But you know what I'm getting at.
Trevor may have gotten out, but as far as we know, Justin Hammer is still in jail. So
Sam Rockwell could need a paycheck.
Yeah, I think Sam Rockwell is probably good with just being like, like, I did the one, I'm good. But never say never. You write a big enough check if they can make it make sense. So I do think it's hilarious that Ezekiel was keeping his dad's ashes in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably all the reverence that Obadiah actually deserves, all things considering. So
now just don't be using those ashes for any nefarious purposes there, buddy boy. And
that's true. Again, he's got to be very careful about who he makes friends with.
Yeah, like you were saying biotech, I'm just like, ooh, boy, okay. Ashes.
Well, I was thinking more magical usage.
Magical? That too, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes having biological substances come in handy.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was going both either way.
Yeah. I mean, they did use hair in Agatha all along, so yeah. So who knows? But yeah. But Ezekiel, I think almost was like a thing to bring him in, show another route of technological ideas, possible technological ideas, and then, you know, quietly show him out the door for a little bit, like, you know, go sit on the patio for a while, and then we'll call you back in when we need you. So, just to get it, really, to show that, you know, it's Riri and Tony Stark, brilliant, but there's a lot of other people in the MCU that, you know, some are actual characters and some are made up, that are smart in their own right. You know, the two companies that once Riri joins up with the you know, the, I don't know if their real group really had a name. Uh the Hood Gang,
Yeah.
I guess. That you know, both of those CEOs were made up characters. They were made up brand new for the series. So neither of them have any comic book origins. So but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Riri is absolutely right that having money does make a difference when you want to do things, especially big things. And Tony came from, you know, yes, I mean, Stark Industries was still very successful once he did properly take over and he stopped doing the weapons thing, but it's a company that his dad created and was very successful. You know, by the time Tony was a little kid, you know, Stark Industries was huge, and, you know, so Tony was not hurting for money even as a little kid. So him going to, again, MIT at a young age, not a problem, because they were, you know, his parents could afford it. But Riri, on the other hand, can't. You know, she's from Chicago, she's female, she's African American. You know, she is not, I mean, she's the opposite of Tony Stark.
So she did go to MIT on a pretty hefty scholarship.
She did, until she started running out of money and started helping students cheat to make money, and she got caught. And
there are better ways to make money.
Yeah,
when you're in college.
it is, yeah, but you know, she's, you know, she
her
grew.
research was pretty well paid for by the school.
Yeah, but she was, you know, for whatever that, and she wasn't doing that well grades wise. Like the classes, like doing her own stuff, you know, classes that were related to tech and everything, she was doing great in. It was the other stuff that she didn't find as interesting. Yeah.
So was she a grad student or undergrad at this point?
You know, they don't really say. I think she was still technically an undergrad.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she ends up getting kicked out in this. You know, they kick her out when she still, I think, still technically had a year left. That, you know, she was just causing too much kerfuffle for the board, I guess. And the stuff that she was working on was not showing like results. I'm doing very big air quotes there. So she was just not checking the boxes that MIT wanted, essentially. Which you would think, considering that Tony went there, that, you know, having a technological genius that just kind of does things by the beat of their own drum, they would be kind of used to. But you know, honestly, I think it's what's his face that had it out for her. The one guy.
Oh yeah, him.
Oh, what's his name? He was in Professor Wilkes. There we go.
Yeah.
Because he also he's a returning character from the MCU. We last saw him in, I forget what. It's been a hot minute, but he was working at MIT then. Spider-Man No Way Home. That's the last time I saw him. I think he just kind of had it out for her, to be honest with you. Because the other lady, the dean, seemed to like, care. So Riri finds herself kicked out of school. She has to return home to Chicago. And she still wants to continue the building of her suit. When she's explaining to people, when they're like, what are you working on? What's your what's your thesis or your grand idea for all this? It's very reminiscent of Tony in Age of Ultron. It's very much suit of armor around the world. She doesn't necessarily want to go literally worldwide, but she wants to build suits for like first responders and firemen and the military and things like that. So it's like Tony in Age of Ultron with a little bit of Justin Hammer, actually. Which is commendable, but she's so young. And she's full of that idealism that is as a someone older than her, as a mature adult, it's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to like, if I was there, it's like, I don't want to quash her dreams, but at the same time, I'd be like, girl, you may want to like slow your roll a little, maybe dial things closer to actual reality.
Is what you're trying to do, is it realistic?
Yes.
And it was, I mean, some of it was, and others it's like, ooh, we might need to back up a pace or two here. And
like I said, it's very commendable, but she is trying to take, I think, a bigger bite than she can chew.
Yes, exactly. I was
for
just
lack of a better term.
I was just about to say that. Yep.
Yeah. Just because she's got the ideas, but she needs someone to help rein her in and keep her.
She needs that Tony or that Happy, and sadly,
or a Pepper, or even a Jarvis.
Right, and she doesn't have either.
Right. Yeah, she doesn't. I mean, Riri in the comics, she does have an AI of Tony Stark.
Oh, okay.
That helps her. Obviously, that's not the case in this. Right. Why are they going to pay Robert to play a hologram? They wrote him an $80 million check to come back to play Victor Von Doom. So,
throw him up in front of a green screen and just let him do his thing.
Yeah. But
I'm surprised they didn't do it after the interview. After he watched the first few episodes. I mean, he was all
well. The whole Natalie thing is also from the comics, though, too.
Yeah.
So, and I think her AI being her best friend that she
Mhm.
lost
Yeah.
made it more personable, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think less confusing. Because,
True.
yeah, the last time we saw Robert, it was him as Tony Stark. Granted, it was as an AI, essentially, was,
Mm-hmm.
what we were seeing, with his recording before the time heist, after his little
Mhm.
funeral at the cabin. But considering we're going to see him again next year in a different role, it may have also been a bit too confusing, I would think. It's like we've had Robert as Tony, that's ended, we're moving
Right.
on, type thing. So I don't know if my poor heart could have handled it, to be honest with you. As a fan, considering I still cry
Mm-hmm.
at the end of Endgame all these years later. So I don't think my poor little fangirl heart could have handled it. So I'm kind of glad that they decided to skip that and just go straight to her AI being Natalie. So I mean, and essentially what she is trying to create as far as the AI is similar to what she encountered in Wakanda. And it's a combination of what like Shuri was using, but also it is also kind of Riri's own version of, like, even Tony hated the name of this, his barf technology. If you
Yeah.
remember from Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
How he never came up with a better name for that is, I think they just wanted to be able to have him say barf. Because it's
Probably.
funny. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially what she's using, is an algorithm similar to his barf technology, where it creates a digital AI, hologram, but it's based on your own memories. So when she hooks herself up to her computer, then falls asleep, and of course, after everything, she's back home. She's run into some old kind of boyfriend, could be boyfriend, with her mom, and all the memories, of from when she lived in Chicago, that of course, her mind is on Natalie, especially after listening to the mixtape with Natalie's voice on it. So that's what the algorithm pulled for using essentially the barf technology, and created her an AI that is Natalie. So I and I like that they were able to come up with how Natalie actually is a acronym for something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what, Jarvis, Friday, Natalie, that they could get it to be something. Although I did like
Feathered Ariel released in
yeah.
style.
Yeah. I did
Mm-hmm.
like MIT's AI though, the little pencil. I was like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
their version of Clippy.
Yes, exactly. Less
Like
annoying.
all of us that use Windows 95 were like, oh, it's like Clippy.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I want to
Like, I
it's a
remember
little
you.
pencil instead of a paper clip, and it's like it's close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we are so easy to
Amuse and appease.
amuse. Yes. Nostalgia, it's such an easy outlet for
Mhm.
amusement. So oh my. It's yeah, I can understand Riri's hesitation. I mean, obviously, where was she gonna go but back to Chicago? Um, that's impressive though, that suit that was able to fly pretty much from Boston to Chicago
Yeah.
in one go. So, uh, but you know, it's I can understand her hesitation. Unfortunately, here in the real world, Chicago does not have the best track record when it comes to violence.
Yep.
Here in the United States, as far as major cities are concerned, Chicago is kind of up there as far as crime. Um, and for Riri to lose her best friend and her was it stepdad?
I think so.
Yeah, her stepdad to big collateral damage from a drive-by. I mean, they weren't even the target. They were
No.
just there.
Wrong
And you
place,
can't
wrong time.
and the thing is you can't say it was wrong place, wrong time because they were at his shop.
True.
Like
Yeah.
that was where they should have been. You know, he had this
Mhm.
garage, this auto garage. He was a mechanic. And he himself was a huge Iron Man fan. It's funny because Riri is all like, "Oh no, he was the huge Iron Man Tony Stark fan," and I'm like, "Girl, you taking that fandom and you know ran with it." Uh, but yeah, it's like he had this auto garage that he did work. They were helping Riri and Natalie and were learning by fixing up essentially I think Riri's dream car.
Mhm.
And it's that particular street, in that particular neighborhood. They happen to be right near where someone decided that they needed to mow someone down. And they ended up being collateral damage, which really sucks.
Mhm.
To lose, someone like that. I'm sure I am fortunate that I've never lost someone to gun violence. I've come close. Uh, but that's because both of my parents are cops at one point.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's a bit more statistically likely that guns are going to become
Mhm.
involved in something at some point. But thankfully that never cost anyone that I care about their life. So I can't imagine, but I can imagine that the trauma, because Riri was there, she witnessed it.
Mhm.
She was the one survivor that uh did something to her psychologically. So the fact that she ends up getting wrapped up in this kind of criminal organization, it's not that surprising, unfortunately. I mean,
No.
it's kind of cliche, it's kind of stereotypical, unfortunately, but it's also kind of real. I
Mhm.
know that's some of the complaints that I've seen about the series from people is this idea that Riri is supposed to be, this uh you know up and coming, you know new version of Iron Man, uh this new generation of people like Tony Stark, who is supposed to possibly be this hero. We all kind of assumed when they were like, yeah, Riri is coming, she's going to be in the next Black Panther movie, and she does great things with in that movie, with Shuri and in Wakanda and with Namor and all that. Um but we all kind of assumed that it's like, oh yeah, this will be great, bring her in, maybe she'll be part of the new Avengers, with the younger kid, with Kamala Khan and Kate and all of them. And she almost immediately turns to a life of crime and spirals to of course it gets out of control, as it does, because these things, when you're doing bad things, they're gonna have consequences. She ends up costing, I don't know. They left some things ambiguous, though. That's the thing, and I think some people's interpretation is: did she actually kill John in the garden thing? It's like, did she do that intentionally, or was it, I have like a split second to get out of here. If I don't get out of here, if I try to save him, I could die in the process. So was she really just saving her own skin? He was trying to hurt her anyway. So was it necessarily you could see it as self-defense? She's like, if I do let him out of here, if I can let him out of here, is he just going to try to, kill me again?
The kind of him or me.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, but I know some of the complaints I've seen was like, she killed someone. Like, yes and no. It depends on your, yes, she caused someone to die.
Yes.
Did she outright kill him?
Jury's still out.
Until
we get a clean cut answer later on.
Right.
Going to give her a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think so. And how much of and also you also have to consider at that point, because she had the suit was essentially being piloted by Natalie, the AI, while she was doing something outside of the suit. And by the time the suit came and got her, essentially, it's like, even if she had wanted to be like, I know you just tried to kick my ass and kill me, dude, but, I'm not going to leave you here to die. Would Natalie have let her, though? Because Natalie's sole focus was to save Riri. So with Natalie as the AI, she could have been like, no, override, we're getting your ass out of here. So yeah, I think there's I think you're right. I think jury's still out on that. Because I think they left it ambiguous enough that you could be like, but yes, she did cause someone to die. There were circumstances that she was involved in that led to someone's death, but did she outright kill the guy? I don't see it that way, but that's me. But how many of our heroes have also been in circumstances that have led to somebody's death? So it's like, you can't really call her out unless you're going to call out every other one of our heroes in the MCU who has done something similar. So I don't think that is fair either. Yes, it does put her in a bad light to the rest of the crew. Which, when you are involved with a gang of extremely talented criminals, that's even if you're technically on the same side, what's the saying, no honor amongst thieves. So she's got the blood siblings who are from the comics. They're aliens actually in the comics. Obviously that's not the case here. They're human, but they are also extremely talented at killing people. You've got Rampage to a point until he gets killed. You've got Slug, who's an extremely talented hacker, with computers in their own right. So And then you have Parker, who is kind of our lead, you know, in this. You know, he's also the his. I don't think they, if I remember correctly, I don't think they ever actually called him the Hood in the series. But that's his comic book, you know, kind of name is the Hood. So but played by Anthony Ramos, who you might recognize. I mean, CV, his career is slowly ramping up. So, but he has, he was in the Lady Gaga Star is Born. So, Godzilla King of Monsters. He was in Hamilton for a little bit there. So, also in the Heights. So Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. So yeah. So he's an up and coming potential big star. Obviously friends with Lin-Manuel Miranda. So, but yeah, I don't, as far as I remember, they never actually called him the Hood in the series, but that's the character from the comic books. Although, is it just me? I mean, he gets his haircut towards the end. But before the haircut, with the curly hair and his cloak with the hood, maybe not so much with the hood, but just the cloak around his shoulders. Anyone else getting Bruno from Encanto vibes?
A bit.
A little, yeah. I see it.
Like, with the hair and the cloak.
Yep.
Like, if you couldn't see the hood, it kind of looked like a poncho. And if you couldn't tell what color it was. Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that cloak, and as soon as I saw the cloak and hood, I quick did a search. It was like, did Doctor Strange lose his along the way? I'm like, okay, nope, different cloak.
Doctor Strange just doesn't have a hood.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, no, Doctor Strange just has a big collar,
right?
But no hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not the cloak of levitation. It is a magic cloak, though.
Yes, exactly. Hence why I was like, wait a minute, I better double check.
Yeah, so you know, I one of the other complaints I've seen is some people think the whole thing with him trying to get revenge on his dad because he's got daddy issues, which who in the MCU doesn't?
Right. Basically, pretty much every character so far that we've run into, storyline wise, for the most part, has daddy issues.
Yeah, it's like there's so many dads in the MCU that would never win Father of the Year by any means. But, you know, his whole thing is like, I want to take down these businesses because they're part of my dad's stock portfolio. And if I own them instead, then I'll be rich and reasons. And then my dad will give me the rest and then I'll have everything because my dad sucks. I don't know. His reasoning behind it was a little you know, not very original. Let's just put it that way. Not very original. Yes. However, his way of going about it. Now, I will say, I did see somebody say that they thought the two companies that we do see them take down where, he is the one that ultimately forces the CEO or whoever to sign a contract signing over their business and everything to him and his little ragtag group of criminals. Somebody was all like, there's this thing called duress. And if you sign something under duress,
it doesn't count.
It's not legal. It doesn't hold water. However, I got the impression I think this is just my headcanon, because it's not something I think, as far as I remember, is not explicitly stated. But I had gotten the impression that the contracts were him presenting those contracts was part of the deal that he made to get that power in the first place. And therefore those contracts were maybe not on Earth legally binding,
right,
but on another plane legally binding. So that's the impression I got.
But that's all sense.
Like because this whole idea of he's like, here's this contract, I'm essentially he's like, getting them into situations where it's like, I could ruin you, or you could sign over your company and everything and I'll let you live, essentially. Like your business is, your reputation as a business person may be kind of ruined, but that's your problem. And to me, this whole idea of because they try to keep it very, making people wonder with his when you see him with his shirt off, he's getting these tattoos to try and cover these marks that are appearing on his skin, and he's got these seemingly magical abilities, with being able to be invisible and being able to do the Matrix thing where making shoot a bullet and make it curve, and sort of stuff. And I was like, okay. And he's all, at one point Riri even asks him about the cloak, and he's just like, it's magic, and Riri is all like, it's got to be more than that. I'm like, well, yeah. But as Thor once said, magic is just science that has not been explained, or hasn't been figured out, to paraphrase. It's like, Riri, magic exists. Don't be like, what you talking about, Willis? When he's like, yeah, my cloak is magic. If he says it's magic, it's magic. But I know, so leading up to the big reveal of where his powers were coming from, where he got the cloak from and where that power was coming from, a lot of people were like, because there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of dark entities in the MC, in the comics, that they could have picked from, that use dark magic or dark energy, whatever you want to call it. And they even name dropped Dormammu quite several times.
Oh yeah. I'd like to make a deal. It's like, no,
I've come to bargain.
It's like, I come to bargain. You do not want to be coming to bargain.
I'm pretty sure that Dormammu, after everything that happened with Doctor Strange, he's like, I don't want to deal with these Earthlings anymore.
I've hit my limits on bargains. It's clean.
Yes. It's like, Earth, no. Let's try a different planet or different dimension. So, but the whole idea, but with everything being red and everything in the contracts, I immediately was like, their site, who is someone associated with the color red that in legend, in story, in various media, is someone who likes to use contracts But when you sign one with him, it ends up being a very bad idea. Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, Beelzebub, it's like, you don't make deals with the devil, but a lot of people do. I mean, Faust, take your pick. Shakespeare, the idea of of creating deals with some manifestation of the devil goes back through storytelling for centuries. So all this stuff with the magic and the red and the contracts, I was like, oh, making deals with the devil. He probably made a deal with the devil. Who is the devil in the Marvel comics? Who is their manifestation of the devil? Mephisto.
Mephisto, yeah.
So, like, I don't know if I'm the only one that clocked that. That potentially early on, but I was like, oh, we might be getting Mephisto here. And of course I was right. It's like, it's not gonna be Dormammu. That was just a red herring. Like, Dormammu doesn't want anything to do with this. So, but yeah, it was like, oh, Mephisto would make sense. That he is the Marvel's version of the devil. And in the comics, the realm, dimension, whatever you want to call it, that he inhabits is called hell, but it's not the biblical hell. As far as Marvel is concerned, the biblical heaven and hell aren't necessarily a thing. Because there are so many other beings that exist. There are, like I said, there are other dark entities. I mean, we literally have Hela, who is the goddess of death. And then we've got gods, with little g's. Thor is considered a god, in Thor Love and Thunder, where they go to, essentially the pantheon, and you've got Zeus and take your pick of mythology. It's because they also exist in the Marvel comics in some form or fashion. So Marvel is not beholden to one single religion by any means. So like the Abrahamic God and Satan, not a thing as far as Marvel is concerned. Which is fine, because then that leaves them open for so many other storytelling opportunities. But as Parker finds out, making a deal with the devil, in this case, Mephisto, doesn't work out. It's not ideal. Like, it kind of gets him what he wants, but at the same time it doesn't, because the longer he wears the cloak, the more he's taken over, and it's kind of like Gollum being corrupted by the One Ring. Where if Riri hadn't actually gotten the cloak away from him, he would have become a literal demon, and probably would have been sent off to hell, the hell dimension, and become one of Mephisto's little minions. Like one of Jareth's goblins in Labyrinth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's, from what I do know, like I said, as our listeners know, I do not read the comics. That just seems so overwhelming to try and jump in and try to read the comics, even if I stuck with like one character. It's just, there's just so much. So and it's like, and the thing is with the MCU is just, you kind of never know where they're going to pull from,
right?
Is the thing, because there is so much. It's a blessing and a curse is what it is. They've got so much material to pull from, but at the same time, we don't necessarily know what they're gonna, what storyline they're gonna pull from and how they're gonna adapt it, because they've yet to, even though they've done some pulled from some very well-known storylines, they have adjusted them to fit the narrative that they're building for the MCU. So at the end of the day, I'm not really losing any sleep over not reading the comics. But I do know enough, and I'm familiar with some of the more well-known characters. And I knew that Mephisto was a character in the Marvel comics, so that was not necessarily a big surprise to me that that's where they were necessarily going. Who they cast as Mephisto, on the other hand, I was not I did not have that on my bingo card. I did not have Sacha Baron Cohen playing Mephisto in the MCU.
Because I had to do a double take. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, is that who I think? No, I can't. Yes. Oh, it is. Yeah, okay. Surprise.
Okay, Borat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. So yeah, I did not see that coming at all, that particular casting, but hey, you know what? I'm kind of for
intended and not intended.
Yeah. I'm kind of here for it, actually, though. So he, at least as far as the form that we see in this, where he's presenting as another human being, for a split second there, you do see his demonic form, though. If it's very much blink and you miss it, but when he is sitting there in the booth at the pizza restaurant, when he is stirring his coffee or whatever it is, and he pulls the spoon out, you see his reflection in the spoon for a split second, and it's the red face with the the kind of the stereotypical Satan look, where he's all red, he's got the black hair and kind of the pointy, like the little pointy beard at the end. So whether we'll actually see that full on at some point, to be determined. So but you know what, you got someone like Mephisto who he draws his power from souls. As as stereotypically the devil likes to collect souls. There's no deviation there. But he is powerful in his own right. I mean, he is the leader of his own dimension. You don't become like a Dormammu or a Mephisto and without being extremely powerful. So it is going to take and the thing is really there is no way to actually take him down because of the entity that he is. The best they can do, I think, is try and maybe outsmart him and find a way to trap him, very much like what Doctor Strange did with Dormammu, where he outsmarted him. There's not really anything that can destroy an entity like Mephisto. He's really will just need to be trapped in some form or fashion. But that doesn't mean that they can't try, and the fact that they magic comes into play with I'm gonna butcher her name? What's what's her name? The girl that ends up helping Riri.
Oh,
Zelma.
yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, I know it starts with a Z. Zelma. Which she also comes from the comics. She was actually going to be possibly or not, because things have moved around. At one point there was the idea of doing in the comics it is what do they call it? It's strange, like strange school of magic or something like that. It's essentially Doctor Strange's academy for magic wielders. Except it was gonna be Wong, because obviously Doctor Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, at least at the moment. So it was gonna be Wong, and she was going to be part of that. That's how she got introduced in the comics, is Strange's academy, for magic wielders. But that series has been kiboshed, or at the very least put on a back burner quite a bit of ways. But bringing in somebody who is trained in the mystic arts, at least to a point, is gonna be helpful against someone like Mephisto. So unfortunately, with the way that everything falls by the end of the series, is, at least for now, Parker is pretty powerless. The cloak's been taken, he's lost his crew, so he's kind of without a ship without a space to hang his anchor. But as we saw in the last episode, that may or may not change. It depends on what Zelma decides to do when he comes asking her for help. And it may need she, depending on what it is he exactly wants, is the thing. Is like, does he want to find a way to be freed from the effects of being, the essentially the poisoning that was happening to him from the cloak, and Mephisto's powers, if that's something that he can be cleared of? Is that something that she and or Wong and or Doctor Strange could potentially help him with? I kind of hope that's the case, because we need to find a way to, if we could find a way to quote unquote save him, we're going to need that, because unfortunately Riri is now in the same boat.
Yep.
She made an agreement with Mephisto to, the thing is she just asked him to bring Natalie back.
Right.
And if you know anything about fantastical type creatures that grant wishes, or
there's gonna be a catch involved.
Well, that, or those of us
and I'm just thinking,
those of us that have read things like the Dresden Files, is you have to be very specific with your words.
Yep. And then I'm thinking Buffy, when they brought her back, it's like, where did you bring her back from?
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing, is she's like, bring Natalie back. That's her wish, or whatever. And Mephisto does say death is hard, but not impossible. But does that mean that the Natalie that we get is that the Natalie that died?
Right.
Is that a Natalie pulled from another Earth? Another dimension?
Right.
Or is that the AI brought to life?
Ooh, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Because she did not say, I want my dead friend Natalie brought back. You know?
Right. Yeah, she just said, hey, Natalie.
Yeah, she's like, I just want Natalie back. So she's got a Natalie, but as we also saw, she is also now being corrupted by Mephisto's power. So yeah, I mean, it's I honestly think it's a really interesting take, an idea for them to bring in someone who we just assume was going to be another hero, and by the end her not be the hero that we would normally expect. You know, she has she has messed with life and death. She has committed crimes. The whole John thing is, like I said, that's a whole other thing. But she has committed crimes. Murder may not be one of them, but she has committed other crimes. And now she has made a deal with the literal devil. Like, that is not what you expect from someone who is potentially going to be one of our new generation of heroes in the MCU. But as I said, she is so young, and while she has experienced a lot in her life, she is very much she gets an idea and she's just running with it.
And she's not letting go until it's completed.
Right. It really doesn't matter the cost either. Like, she's like, I will get this done if it costs me everything. And right now, it really is. I mean, she has literally signed over her life to the devil. And what this means for what Mephisto has planned as far as his future in the MCU, that's to be determined. Like I said, this sat on the shelf for a little bit. So, is at least right now, I don't think we're necessarily going to see Riri join up with the rest of our Young Avengers or whatever the heck they're calling them now. So I heard someone called something else. I can't remember what it was. But whatever. They'll give them their proper name when we finally get there. Because I don't think we're really going to see them until after Doomsday. So, but we'll see. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I like Riri as a character. I think it's fantastic that that we're getting representation for marginalized communities, people of color, women in STEM. Shout out to the name dropping Mae Jameson. So I love that Star Trek exists in the MCU as a TV show. And those you don't know who Mae Jameson is, shame on you. Go Google her. So, but I like that. I like that it's not we didn't get your stereotypical hero storyline with this. That it ended her kind of like not on the best side.
Not really.
No.
So, but what this means going forward, we don't know. But but like I was alluding to, the idea of Mephisto and bringing a character like him in, I think still keeps that door open for Blade and going into that kind of more supernatural aspect of the MCU that we've not really dug into yet. It's not that far, it's not that much of a hop, skip, and a jump from the embodiment of Satan to vampires.
No.
So
no. Nope, not that far of a jump at all.
Yeah, it's like, that whole vampire, dark, like I said, macabre, supernatural, otherworldly type of stuff that is also a big part of Marvel in the comics. I think that whether they'll be directly connected, I have no idea. I'm just saying the Venn diagram of Satan and vampires overlaps, I think, quite a bit. As far as themes and the like. So I'm at least that's what I'm hoping. Because I still would like to see. I honestly think we are going to get Blade eventually. At this point,
just like it sooner rather than later.
Is it going to be the Blade that we were originally told we were going to get with like Mahershala Ali? Maybe not. But you know what? That's okay, because Mahershala, he's already part of the MCU. So you brought over Daredevil more properly. That's not good grammar, but you know what I mean. More properly. And so the other defenders hopefully are not too far behind him, and that means Luke Cage. With Luke Cage, we've already had Mahershala Ali. So does that not mean that they can reuse somebody? Of course not. They do it in Doctor Who all the time. But at the same time, depending on how how they're going to do Blade, maybe Blade should be younger. Even by the time, when we, with the Wesley Snipes Blade, even in the first one, he's been a daywalker for a long time. Like we get we get the little backstory at the very beginning, with his birth and everything. But by the time we're introduced to Wesley Snipes as Blade, all grown up, he's been at it for a while. He's kind of old and grizzled and has been doing this daywalker thing for quite a while. Maybe we need a younger Blade. Maybe someone who's not been at it quite as long, is maybe still figuring things out, as far as how he fits in to this particular world. So just spitballing. My 2 cents. But please, if anybody else has got 2 cents, feel free to share.
I think you
got it. I like where you're going. I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, no offense to Mahershala Ali. He's a fantastic actor. Academy Award winner. But
right. I mean, what I love
he is on the older side.
Blade, right. But if we can incorporate Mahershala in something else with Marvel, go for it, and let's, look for a younger Blade.
Yeah, I think so. There you go. Leader, Mr. Feige. Mm-hmm. We know you're listening.
Well,
tell Lou when you see him at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, which I'm sure you will. Maybe.
Yes.
Or maybe not.
So if any of our listeners have any thoughts and opinions on Ironheart or just Marvel stuff in general, hit us up with some feedback. You can send it to us. Our email address is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com, and you can leave a comment there. You could also find links to our social media, and you can leave comments there as well. We're kind of at the usual places that you think about. You have our show notes at the website. You can also find our Patreon and our merch shop if you feel so inclined to help support us financially. But like I said, just visiting the website and checking that stuff out, sending us feedback is awesome. We love you all for however it is you choose to be a listener and an audience person thing. I know I'm wording pretty good, today. Like I said,
we just really love you guys.
We love you guys. Like a lot. So just enjoy and take care out there, because we want you to come back and see us again.
Alrighty then. Well, I guess for now we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Dangle saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I can't believe, as far as I know, based on the episode titles, that nobody has made a ghost reference to episode 3 titles. We in Danger Girl.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Whippy Goldberg. Yes. You in Danger Girl.
Ada Mae Brown.
Yep.
Thank you, because that was driving me nuts. It's like, I've heard that before. Yeah. But where? Cobwebs.
Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.